I have had an absolutely insane month. I was flown out to LA to play Hoyo's newest game, Zenless Zone Zero, which I have a video on that you should totally check out if you're interested at all in what the game is like, how the game plays, how the game looks, various different characters, various different systems in place. I started playing Tower of Fantasy again because people kept telling me that I absolutely needed to try out 3.0 because 3.0 is an enormous overhaul of the game, which I'm now streaming over on Twitch every single day this week and every other weekend. So you should totally come on over, keep me company as I stream it every single day at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, except for today because I'm busy today. And there have been some pretty large shifts in terms of where games were for the last several months and where they are presently. Oh, and at the same time, one single gacha game continues to make more money than all other 19 gacha games combined. And no, it's not Genshin Impact, although I am also streaming Genshin Impact after Tower of Fantasy each day over on Twitch. Yeah, it has genuinely been that kind of month, and I am very tired. Hey, my name is Stix, and welcome back to your monthly recap on how your favorite gacha game is doing on a month-by-month basis. These stats, for the most part, are completely mobile and do not include PC, with the single exception of Honkai Star Rail, and even that is not reported in its total final numbers. If you're interested in gacha releasing this month, new gacha to try out, I have a dedicated video exclusively for that you can find linked below or at the end of this video. Before we discuss where each gacha did end up, however, allow me to take a moment here to thank our incredible patrons over on Patreon. Your guys' support is why I can continue to make videos like this every single month, and I deeply appreciate you all being there for me. Now let's jump in and take a look at how things have turned out, because it's very interesting. Coming in at number 1 is Honkai Star Rail. I know, this is a massive surprise to every single one of you, but it retains its number 1 spot for yet another consecutive month, totaling 2.2 million new downloads and $96 million globally. This is down from last month's $139 million reported global total, but combining China and PC earnings, we're looking at significantly more than $200 million and several million new downloads. An absolutely astonishing number and completely eclipsing every single other gacha game in this list. In the 2 months that Honkai Star Rail has been online for, it has made $2/3 of $1 billion, with it likely to cross $1 billion globally next month, becoming the fastest growing, highest grossing gacha game in history, a title not likely to soon be lost. Number 2 is still held by Genshin Impact, with a total of 3.4 million new downloads and $57 million between global and China. These numbers are identical to last month's stats, and it makes sense as there really hasn't been much to pull for recently and players are saving up for Fontaine. Fate Grand Order is fighting for control of the number 3 spot with 150,000 new downloads and $31 million, dethroning NIKKE from last month. Fate Grand Order typically receives the majority of its earnings from Japan, but this month saw roughly 30% from global, a surprise turn of events. NIKKE comes in at number 4 with 190,000 new downloads and $23 million globally. This is down from last month's 300,000 new downloads and $33 million in revenue. Nevertheless, NIKKE has never once dropped below $20 million and shows absolutely no signs of slowing down at any time in the immediate future. Musume is another gacha that typically tends to hold a top 5 spot each week, very rarely dipping out of the top 5, one month actually dethroning and out-earning Genshin Impact, and this month is no exception with 30,000 new downloads and $22 million. This is down from last month's 50,000 new downloads and $27 million, and slightly less than NIKKE, and is tallying Japan exclusively, as this does not have a global release at present. Maybe one day. Although I'm honestly not sure how well this would do in the West. Unfortunately, there isn't a single other gacha game that managed to accumulate over $20 million. These 5 games are considered the titans of the genre right now, and seem to be, with the exception of Blue Archive occasionally, the only gacha games capable of amassing over $20 million monthly. That by no means means that other gacha games are doing poorly. On the contrary, many gacha games are still managing to accumulate over $10 million and are critical successes. Raid Shadow Legends is one such title, coming in at number 6 with 800,000 new downloads and a fairly sizable $14 million. These stats fall just slightly below last month's 800,000 new downloads and $15 million. Diablo Immortal comes in at number 7, amassing 1.8 million new downloads and $13 million. This is up from last month's 400,000 new downloads and $7 million. I guess that Diablo 4 boost really paid off. Project Sekai secured the number 8 spot this month, bringing in 340,000 new downloads and $10.9 million. Absolutely phenomenal numbers given 90% of the revenue comes from Japan, yet 75% of the new downloads originate from global. At number 9, we have Romancing Saga Reuniverse, a title that doesn't typically fall in the top 20, but something must have happened as this month it managed to come in at $10.2 million and 40,000 new downloads. This is up significantly from last month's $4 million and is largely from Japan only. As sad as it sounds, that is the end of every gacha game over $10 million this month. Not a single other title managed to break $10 million, yet some definitely tried and came very close. For the first time ever, Dragon Quest Champions comes in at number 10, with a grand total of over 1 million new downloads and $9 million. These are absolutely crazy numbers as the game just launched on June 13th, thus this total number accounts for only half a month's new downloads and total revenue. I fully expect next month to do even better, but what's more shocking is the fact that this is a Japanese exclusive release. Summoner's War comes right after Dragon Quest Champions with 80,000 new downloads and $9 million. Summoner's War continues to defy all logic and absolutely dominate its spin-off Summoner's War Chronicles, which is already almost dead. Summoner's War is down this month, however, as last month saw 90,000 new downloads and $10 million. Interestingly enough, Arknights for the second month in a row out-earned Blue Archive, coming in at number 12 and bringing in a total of 70,000 new downloads and $7.9 million, down from last month's 100,000 new downloads and $14 million. Blue Archive came in at number 13 with 180,000 new downloads and $7.8 million. This is the first time this year the game hasn't made over $10 million, down from last month's 150,000 new downloads and $13 million. Despite both Blue Archive and Arknights being down this month, these are still incredible, fantastic numbers. The Seven Deadly Sins Grand Cross managed to come in at number 14 with a total of 280,000 new downloads and $7.5 million, up from last month's 250,000 new downloads and $6.6 million, which bodes well for the Seven Deadly Sins Origins whenever it finally releases. Yeah, here's looking at you, Netmarble. We're all still waiting for literally anything, any little bit of information, confirmation that it's still in active development, new footage, anything at all. Epic 7 comes in at number 15 with a whopping 400,000 new downloads and $7 million. This is up significantly from last month's 260,000 new downloads and $4 million, and is arguably the highest numbers the game has seen all year. Heaven Burns Red has secured the number 16 spot, bringing in a total of 20,000 new downloads and $7 million. This is down from last month's 60,000 new downloads and $11 million. This is exclusive to Japan and is still surprisingly good, given it has maintained numbers like this since I've been doing this series. At number 17, we saw Azur Lane sailing in with 64,000 new downloads and $5.5 million. This is roughly on par with last month's 50,000 new downloads and $5.6 million, signaling a several-month high for the game. For the first time since its release, Memento Mori dropped into the middle millions at number 18 with a total of 50,000 new downloads and $5 million, down from last month's 130,000 new downloads and $8 million, and roughly above $10 million earned every single month before it. Does this signal a permanent decline for the game? I guess only time will tell. Fire Emblem Heroes comes in at number 19 here with 30,000 new downloads and $5 million. This is pretty much identical to last month's 28,000 new downloads and $5 million, which is roughly the average that the game has been at for years. And finally, Ni no Kuni Cross Worlds takes the number 20 spot with 100,000 new downloads and $3.7 million, up from last month's 40,000 new downloads and $2.6 million. Note, the majority of these earnings are from Japan, as it is mostly dead globally. And that makes up the top 20 gacha games in terms of downloads and earnings for the last month. I'm sure there are some of you that are as surprised as I am with a few of the games listed here today. Honkai Star Rail absolutely destroyed every single gacha game this month, earning more money than pretty much every single gacha game combined for the second month in a row, even despite being out of its honeymoon period. Tower of Fantasy didn't make it into the top 10, the top 20, or the top 30 this month, coming in at number 32, and saw its lowest earning month to date for the 6th month in a row, with $1.2 million earned globally. In a couple months, I doubt this game will retain above $1 million monthly return, which is it is absolutely crazy. Ether Gazer made $1.8 million this month, up from last month's $1.4 million, which is a good sign. Brown Dust 2 made $2 million globally, and it released only a couple weeks ago, signaling a pretty decent outcome. Eversoul has dropped to 800k globally. Higan Erithal has dropped to 80k globally. Yes, $80,000. Higan Erithal is dead and will 100% be announcing its end of service before the end of 2023. Nuru Cloud is bringing in $160,000 globally, which is very low, concerningly, alarmingly low. Path to Nowhere is continuing to average slightly above $1 million, currently at 1.3 million, which isn't bad. Summoner's War Chronicles is down to 1.6 million, a significant decline from its $8 million opening 3 months ago. It has been a fascinating month, honestly, and I can't wait for next month to see how the games continue to shift. Now, if none of these games look like games that you'd be interested in, then I got you covered with 2 videos on screen right now that you should totally check out.